goes like this. Thoughts swim around my mind. Thoughts swim around my mind. Now ask yourself, who's this kid that stands before me? Hope he doesn't bore me. Quick, stick him in another category. Well, shit. He really doesn't fit in any. Brown like a copper penny, yet with Asiatic eyes. I see to my surprise, he's got a black nose. But on the real, I am a Filipino.
Hey everyone, my name is Charlotte. I am your friendly neighborhood Women 5 of the Ann Peggy Company. And I am here today with a very, very special guest. He's been an integral part of so many of our childhoods and the entertainment industry as it has evolved. Some of his most notable credits include Rufio in Hook, the voice of Prince Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender, Ramos in Take the Lead, and Jake Long in Disney's American Dragon. He's also featured in the iconic film, A Goofy Movie, and has guest starred in That's So Raven, Proud Family, Legends of Korra, Moesha, to name my personal favorites. Fun fact is he's collaborated with our very own Lin-Manuel Miranda, which I definitely want to get in today, an established actor who's paved the way not only for Asian actors in entertainment, but is also shaping the entertainment industry itself, Dante Basco.
How you guys doing? So happy to be here. I'm such a big fan of Hamilton. So hanging out with some of the cast and crew is always just a delight. How are you doing?
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you, I'm so excited to be here with you, but also extremely nervous. I was texting all my friends and I was like, I have to do him justice. I have to do him justice because you've done so much for, especially as an Asian actor, I think, seeing you on screen and growing up and not seeing representation a lot and having, seeing you in an iconic role. It's kind of surreal to get to talk to you. So I'm really happy to be here with you today.
Well, it's my pleasure. I've been around the industry now for over 35 years, which is crazy. And as you know, it's such a crazy and hard industry to be a part of, especially for Asian actors have been one of the most underrepresented kind of communities in Hollywood over the last 100 or so years. So it's been quite a journey, but definitely I've been proud of the things I've been able to do. And seeing things like Hamilton and see someone as great as Lin-Manuel Miranda like reimagine storytelling through different perspectives and with different representation has been something that I think has impacted the industry so much. So I'm happy to be a part of this.
Thank you so much. So I wanted to start off with at the beginning. I know you actually started off as a dancer. I wanted to talk to you about how that kind of morphed and how that developed from doing dancing with your brothers, I believe, to where you are today and how that journey has evolved for you.
We came up in the pioneering days of hip hop and we were break dancers. We were B-boys. We were a group called the Street Freaks and we danced on, street corners, Telegraph Avenue and Pier 39 in San Francisco. And we were literally the kids on the street with the hat out and the boom box and the cardboard box. That's what we did. And we did a lot of contests on the weekends. We won a lot of breakdancing contests. We started dancing for the San Francisco 49ers, started dancing for the Oakland A's. And then we got scholarships to the San Francisco Ballet Company. And we started studying ballet and did the Nutcracker. And we became professional dancers. And then that led us we quickly got into acting classes and quickly became actors. And so, once a dancer, always a dancer. I'm still, in my heart, it's my first love. I finally got to dance in a movie, Take the Lead with Antonio Banderas, and that was kind of like a full circle kind of thing in my life.
Oh, I love that. I also wanted to ask you your relevance in pushing the needle of diversity in TV and film forward through your work, but also just as a child actor, were you aware of that impact that you were having?
My acting career in Hollywood started 10 on. And so, of course, as a kid, you're not really aware of any of that stuff. I was aware of that I wasn't white, the roles I'm going in for, and they ask you, what are you? And you're like, I'm Filipino. And they're like, what is Filipino? And my whole thing was always like, well, what's the role? And well, the role's Chinese. I was like, well, my grandmother's part Chinese. And so obviously we're Asian. And so I was, I could book that job. Oh, the role is Mexican. Oh, well, Filipinos are also Latino. We were colonized by Spain the exact same way Mexico was. And we all have Spanish last names as part of our culture. So there was an availability for me to get cast in those things, especially at that time in Hollywood. And so I was able to play every different kind of ethnicity, were different Asian roles, different Latino roles, until we did a movie called The Debut, which was the first Filipino American film produced in Hollywood I got to star in. And it felt very good to finally have representation for, my direct community. I started getting invited to speak at colleges, and I didn't go to college because I've been working since I was 10. And I was like, I didn't go to college. I was telling my management and stuff, like, I didn't go to college. Like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do there? And then I would go out and then I would really see my career reflected in the young students' eyes. Me being a part of their childhood and the characters I played. And I would get a lot of remarks, even from people just in the streets, like, you were the first cool Asian person we ever saw on television. Dance crews that came up and they're looking like, oh, it's punk rock, hip hop. And they're like, oh, you're the guy, like, you're Rufio, like, this is directly what we do, is directly kind of spawned off of certain things that you've done in your career, which is amazing. That's what representation is. It sets a pebble into the pond, and these ripples go out and they affect things in a way that you can never have dreamt was possible. And so it's not the reason why we do our work, but you understand it is, and it's gotten more important as I become, more of a veteran in the industry of pushing things forward with our likeness. And we don't know what it's ultimately going to mean. We just know it's going to mean something important to someone in the next generation.
There's a trend of redemption, I feel like, in the characters that you play.
Yeah, there is. I guess I'm like that bad boy with the heart of gold, maybe. The guy that, and at the end of the day, he screws up a lot, but he's gonna come make up for it in the end. I think that's something we can all connect with.
In the Asian community, but also not in the Asian community. We can all relate.
Yeah. We can all relate. Everybody wants to be like Zuko. Like, all the times we've all screwed up. Like, at the end, can we get it right? Please, right. For the love of God.
Right. I would love to ask you about your evolution as an artist and transitioning into spoken word poetry, as well as writing and directing. I know there's a lot involved in that, and it's a kind of, you could probably talk on for hours about this, but I know that you've evolved from being an actor into this now man of many traits. And I just wanted to ask you about the writing, about the directing. If you could talk about the fabulous Filipino brothers, like I just want to.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we're artists, and the artist journey is a very complex, kind of like winding road, and sometimes you have an idea of what you want to do, and all you young artists should have an idea what you want to do and push hard to accomplish the things you want to accomplish. But at the same time, there's so much in this industry and there's so much in life that we do not have control over, and to have the wherewithal at moments to kind of see other doors open up and have the ability to walk through those doors. Because the reality is, you can walk through certain doors and it wasn't a part of your plan, but it could be even better than what your plan was. Because you're only working your plan out from what you know. And the thing is, we don't know everything. As you grow up, as you learn in this industry, there's so many more things to know. And so with my evolution, I started out as a breakdancer. And then you learn of other things. Even before I got to LA, I started learning fine art. I started studying ballet with the San Francisco Ballet, a world-renowned company. And then it becomes like, you literally become like Harry Potter, understanding he's a wizard. The possibilities open up. Everything is an inspiration for what you're going to create next and what's possible to create next. And so with that mindset, you become a dancer, and then you become an actor, because that's the industry where you act and you do all these things. You work hard at your craft. You become the best actor you can be. You get a little lucky. And then as you work through the industry, you understand when you make a movie, it's not just acting. Acting is just one aspect of making a movie, but you consider yourself a filmmaker. So when you become a filmmaker, now all these other things open up. Writing started happening for me. And then in the 90s, going to poetry venues and just opening up my scope of friends and friends of friends. And then I ended up creating a poetry venue in my living room, originally called Dante's Poetry Lounge, which became DPL, the Poetry Lounge, which, 25 years later is now Dad Poetry Jam on HBO, went to Broadway, won a Tony. And that came out of just the idea of sharing stories. And then, happened to have a good luck of my friends that were my closest friends were some of the best poets in LA. And we we just like to spit stories, and that community grew and continues to grow. And so this is a moment where I can actually tell my story, and I can digest my life and the things I've experienced and my perspective. And even if it's as small as a poem, like this is my story. That led into elongating the poem into a screenplay, into a book, and then, got to print books. I got to write screenplays, and then getting those screenplays produced into movies. And 10 years ago, I started producing Asian American films because it was just a maturation of me as an artist, as a filmmaker in Hollywood. And I really wanted to just focus on Asian American filmmaking. I'm doing this because I want to do something for the next generation. I want to put faces that look like me in the lead roles. I want to tell stories, representation. And so a lot of people didn't understand. A lot of my friends, producers, didn't really understand where I was going with it. And the things that I've done in the indie world and the conversations we've had, We Own the Eighth, which is an Asian American arts collective where we just celebrated Asian American media the 8th day of every month. Started with me and AJ Raphael, and those conversations and those keynotes kind of led up to things like Crazy Rich Asians, talking to John Chu about that film and everything and what we've been going through as a community and where are we at, where are we going? We are the guys to put us on the map. If it's not us, who's it going to be? Mm-hmm. And so going to direct, I try to take the advice of what I try to tell young filmmakers: write about what you know, shoot in your own backyard, tell your stories. And so I wrote, a pretty intimate story, took out a story about where I'm from. It's a love letter to the town I grew up in, Pittsburgh, California, and to my Filipino community out there, and starring my brothers who are amazing actors and have had great careers on their own, but really giving them a platform to star in their own vignettes. It's 4 vignettes, a linear story told out of order, all surrounding a Filipino wedding. And you just kind of continue to go, the evolution of the arts, and it's not over. You just kind of keep going. There's more work to be done. There's no kind of rhyme or reason how things happen. Sometimes it's just kind of like keep creating, keep developing. We have 10 projects going all at the same time. We don't know what's going to get greenlit, when it's going to get greenlit, but just kind of, I don't know if that answers your question, but there's no way to kind of like, explain it,
Oh, totally. I was actually just talking to AJ. He said there's a screening of it this Friday, right? Up in the Bay Area.
Yeah. AJ, I love AJ Raphael. He's like my little brother. I brought him in. He scored the film. It's his first time scoring a film. Again, it's like these opportunities come up, and it's about seeing who in the community has done it and who has done, who has the ability to do things, and giving them new opportunities to do it. And so proud that AJ is a part of this kind of experience with me and doing something new, and he's so talented. So we're screening at CamFest, film festival in San Francisco, which is one of the major Asian American film festivals in the country. We premiered at South by Southwest, which is one of the major pop festivals in the country. So I was really excited to have an Asian American, a Filipino film in South by Southwest, which was a big thing. And so it's really also exciting now to kind of first time to show it to the Asian American community and see how they receive it.
And that's really, I have to tell you, I have not seen it yet, but I've watched the trailer, and I'm not Filipino. I'm Chinese, but I was getting very emotional watching that trailer.
Oh, right.
I think just because there are things that are similar, but also just seeing a bunch of Asian faces on a screen,
right?
And just telling their story, but also bringing a lot of, like, not heaviness, but deep conversation amongst comedy. I think that's so awesome that you mold the two.
Yeah, I think that's something we do. And I think it's a big response that we've been getting from distributors and from people watching, is like seeing the universality of the story. I mean, we leaned into it. I'm like, it's called The Fabulous Filipino Brothers. It's not the brothers. It's not just some brothers. It's the Fabulous Filipino Brothers. Like, it's a part, we're talking about things in our community and in our family. I mean, I didn't set out to make the definitive Filipino American film or the definitive Asian American film. It's really just certain details of my family, and all based on stories from my family. But my belief is when you do that, we all get to see ourselves in your family. Like, us as Asians have seen ourselves in so many different other films. Like, we watch The Godfather, we watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding. We see ourselves, our family in your stories, because they're that good. So if you make a good story that's very personal, the trick is, if it's personal and it's real, then of course it's universal, because we are all the same. Actually, it just takes us a while to get past what we see to understand our real connection. And so I always just preach to young filmmakers, like, write something real, write what you know, and the world will see themselves in your story, because we've seen ourselves in white stories our whole life. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
And that's really the magic of what Lin-Manuel was able to do also with Hamilton, to understand these stories are universal.
To make a segue a little bit here, speaking of Lin-Manuel, I wanted to know if you could talk a little bit about your collaboration with Utkarsh Ambudkar and Lin-Manuel on Rufio.
Yeah, that was, I mean, look, that's a dream come true, because I'm such a big fan of the show. And of course, like a lot of people out there, Lin-Manuel came into the scene. He's been around for years doing great work in Broadway, but then when Hamilton kind of blew up, we all were just fascinated with the way he thinks and the way his style and the way he writes. And so I became friends with Utkarsh. He's an actor, an Indian American actor, rapper, musician, an amazing, amazing talent. And we became really good friends. And they were doing a song, it happened to be a song called Rufio. And that was just the hook before he even knew me. And another friend of ours, Janina, she was in the studio with them, and she was like, the hook is Rufio. She's like, yeah, Rufio. Like, because the thing is, again, it's one of those things you don't really think about, that a lot of, brown boys and girls that grew up watching Rufio, that he means something to them. In not about him the character, but to his own. Like, when you listen to the song, Utkarsh is talking about his own experience and how he's Rufio. And so he was just rapping about in the song. And then Jenny was like, yo, I know Dante, and he's a poet, right? And they were like, what? And so basically they literally called me from studio, sent me the track, and then we became friends. I came to the studio, listened to all that. And then he's like, I'm gonna send it to Lin. And then he sent it to Lin, and Lin dug the track, and Lin laced it. And it became this super dope song. It got written up in like rap magazines when it came out. There were like 2 big songs came out this week. And it was like Eminem doing Kill Shot and this Rufio song. We're like, well, that's crazy. And then I got to meet Lin. We met at the Mary Poppins premiere, which he was so amazing in. And just a lovely, lovely dude. I got to see him again when they were doing Freestyle Love Supreme in New York. I got to go see the Off-Broadway when Lin showed up last year, and I was in the house that night. So yeah, it's been, he's just amazing. I can't wait to see In the Heights. I got to see some sneak peek stuff when I was hanging out with John Chu. He showed me some early edits of some of what he was doing musically. Me and John talked a lot while I was directing my movie, so he was like mentoring. And so yeah, man, I love being connected with the crew in a certain way and really being inspired by everything he does.
Oh yeah, I loved it. And I feel like your verse in that was I was like, this is deep. I was like, it relatable as, for me, and I'm sure thousands of others, but I was like, it was deep stuff, what I was listening to when I heard that. I was like, wow.
Thank you. I was a little nervous because, those guys they've been going in the studio, rocking stuff constantly. And I was like, I hadn't been in studio in a few years. I was like, I don't know, you guys, what am I going to do? And they're like, and then Utkarsh was like, just write some stuff. And then I wrote some stuff. I brought it, and he's like, oh, you're good. Let's go. And I was like, okay, let's rock.
That's so funny. I've actually had the pleasure of watching you perform live at Crazy Talented Asians.
Oh, cool.
I think it was in 2018, or it was a few years ago. But and then I've also watched videos of you at the Deaf Poetry Jam. It's the Nikki video. I've seen that video. I've seen the video. I was wondering if you wanted to, if you're comfortable with it, sharing something with us.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, okay, let's do one. This is Miss Asian American Month, so this is just kind of an identity poem, I guess. And it's pretty short. It goes like this. Thoughts swim around my mind. Thoughts swim around my mind. Now ask yourself, who's this kid that stands before me? Hope he doesn't bore me. Quick, stick him in another category. Well, shit. He really doesn't fit in any. Brown like a copper penny, yet with Asiatic eyes. I see to my surprise, he's got a black nose. But on the real, I am a Filipino. And to break it down further still, I will tell you I descend from an island where the natives run around nearly naked, named Negritos. Translation, little black men. Black as the shadows in the glorious sun, but then came a Chinaman. Maybe it was Japan who mixed in the Asiatic blood. Drip, drop, drip, rips my tribal. Here comes the Bible of a man from Spain who left me with a Spanish name. From a little conquered island is from where I came. Confused, I question, yet I wound up here where I found joy. Recognize I am a brown boy in America. A place where you are judged by the color of your skin. Black, white, and here I am, standing on the land of another brown man. Now that's irony that I can see. Thoughts swim around mine. You got to give me time on this. Thoughts swim around my mind, but my grandpop says, just throw your line and fish.
Wow. Yes. That's incredible.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love poetry. I love being able to tell a short story.
Thank you for sharing it with us. I appreciate
thank you. And I do. I mean, a friend of mine, Erica, who teaches, a lot of poets in college at the New School and around New York, and she teaches a lot of different poets to her friends, and she's an amazing poet. But like, she's like, you keep that rhyme scheme, which I love about Lin too. Like, because we're such hip hop heads that there's so much great poets now. And there's a lot of free verse, blank verse poets, and they tell amazing stories. And she's like, but you're one of those poets that like, you're like Lin-Manuel. Like, you guys keep that heavy rhyme in somehow, slant rhymes in there. And I'm like, I think it's just from our generation of hip hop heads. It's like, it's ingrained in us.
Totally. I'm still always just fascinated because I love the fact that you're just so multifaceted and just, oh no, I can jump from here, but then I can jump from here. I think it's very, very inspiring. And also just how your humility, Dante, I really appreciate. And it's like,
thank you. Oh, no, I think you know what it is. The longer you stick around this town, the more humble you get because you understand, A, how hard it is. You've been through the ups and the downs, and you know the things that you were able to make happen, the other things that were just sheer luck. You have friends that have risen and fell. You have friends that died, so it's like nothing's promised. I mean, just do your work, run your race, and the other stuff will work itself out. You can't really judge yourself by other people's stuff, but it's like, that's part. And as far as being multifaceted, I mean, I think a lot of artists, a lot of us are, we all are, there's like, people go, you do this, you do that. And I'm like, yeah, but we're creatives. Like, that's what what do you like more? I'm like, there's no this or that. It's all coming from a place of expression. And as artists, that's what we're really here to do. We're here to kind of express ourselves and tell our stories. And it could be through a poem. It could be through a performance of a character. It could be through a song. It could be through a painting, a photograph, a meal that you cook. I mean, but that's the life we live. You know what I'm saying? Again, it goes back to the Harry Potter thing. It's like, we're wizards. What we do is nothing short of magic. We're wizards. That's what we do. I mean, a movie is not just a movie. A play is not just a play. It's something. It's telling us something for us to do something later on. A meal is not just a meal. It's a chance for an experience. You know what I'm saying? The sunset's not just a sunset. It's another piece of art that you're witnessing that's going to somehow influence your next piece of art. So it's like, that's who we are. And when I talk to, and I'm sure there'd be a lot of young artists out there watching these videos you guys are doing, it's like, don't forget that you're a wizard, and understand that there are people in our lives that don't understand us. And sometimes it could be the people we love most, our parents, our family members, our best friends, and they don't understand when we're up all night trying to learn lines or write a song or get that thing right. It has no value to them, and it's life and death for you. But what you have to remember is we're wizards and they're muggles. They're never going to get it. And that's okay. That's not any reason to love them any less, but don't value yourself on their value of you, because we're just different and you are a wizard. Welcome to the wizarding world. Go create your magic. That's it.
Mic drop. Dante, I really appreciate this. And I'm really excited to see what you have in store and what next projects are coming up for you. And I just can't thank you enough. And I'm just really excited to see what you do next tonight as an Asian actor, but also just as an actor too, like what an inspiration you are to so many, and also non-actors. I just thank you very much for this.
Thank you. Good luck on the journey. Good luck on the journey.
Thank you.